I chose to set Blood and Snow in the 70s because I'm just really curious about that time. I grew up in Norway in the 70s. I had a brother who was 5 years older and who probably was, lived the life of a young man in the 70s. I sort of lived more the life of a child in the 70s. And also books and movies from the 70s has always, interested me, like the Godfather movies, The Conversation. And I also I had a conversation with the writer Paul Auster about the 70s. I had read the Basketball Diaries by Jim Carroll, and I asked him about New York in the 70s. And so he gave me a description of Manhattan and New York in the 70s. And it was just such in many ways we remember it as an optimistic time, but you also had, you had the Vietnam War, you had the Cold War, and crime-wise, the big cities were really bad at the time. And he told me that New York was a really grim city in the 70s. So I wanted that grim atmosphere of the 70s, only set here in Oslo, which was also to some extent a very grim city in the 70s, because you had drugs coming to Oslo, and here in Oslo it wasn't like you had only hashish or marijuana or the semi-heavy drugs. You had the really heavy drugs all from the first day. Heroin was a big drug early in the 70s, and so I wanted that to be the backdrop of Blood on Snow, the 70s, the grim 70s, not the happy, hippie 70s. Blood on Snow is a story about this hired killer, contract killer called Olaf Johansen. He is living all by himself in Oslo, and one day he is called upon by his boss, who wants to have his own wife assassinated because he thinks she's cheating on him. The only problem is that the lover is the boss's own son.